It's our pleasure to welcome you all here to share this morning together, and of course, the very best of the season to each and every one of you. Francesca?
Thank you very much, Roger. And now I'd like to introduce the chairman of Guardian Media Limited, Mr. Dennis Gurley, with our opening remarks. Mr. Gurley.
On behalf of the board and management of Guardian Media Limited, it gives me great pleasure to extend a very warm welcome to you all for the launch of our new Guardian Media corporate identity. I would like especially to thank the Honourable Prime Minister and the Ministers of Government for taking time out of their busy schedules to be with us, and particularly to thank the Honourable Prime Minister. Most of you may be aware the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian, formerly the Trinidad Guardian, is the longest surviving daily newspaper publication in Trinidad and Tobago. The Trinidad Publishing Company Limited, as it was then called, began publication of the Trinidad Guardian in 1917 and is fast approaching its centenary landmark. The longevity and prominence of our newspaper over the years can be attributed to the commitment and passion of several generations of shareholders, directors, and managers who have guided and nurtured the publication over its long history and who remain steadfast in their commitment to preserving the notable attributes of the publication, namely accuracy, reliability, fairness, balance, and responsibility. I make bold to say that our newspaper is generally regarded as the most responsible publication in Trinidad and Tobago. The company broadened its operations 12 years ago by the acquisition of the operating assets of Trinidad Broadcasting Company. In 2005, with the launch of CNC3, the company expanded its operations. In 2008, the TV broadcasting operations were further expanded from cable to free-to-air national broadcasting. In 2008, the company acquired a new high-speed and highly automated KVA printing press, which we installed and commissioned at our newly constructed premises in Chaguanas. Over the past 14 years, the face of our company has changed. It is no longer only in the business of newspaper publishing, but is now a dominant multimedia operation, highly profitable and poised for further growth and expansion. It is because of these developments over the past 14 years and our plans for further expansion and growth that we thought it appropriate to change the name of the company from the Trinidad Publishing Company Limited to Guardian Media Limited, to signal and align the expansion of the Guardian Company's operations into wider media. Today signals a new dawn for our company, a landmark from which we will chart a new vision for the next generation of our business life. In closing, it would be remiss of me if I did not pay tribute to Mr. Grenfell Kassoon, our retired Managing Director, for his sterling leadership over the past 16 years. Nearly all of the changes of which I spoke, including the accompanying growth and profitability, took place under his leadership. I'd also like to express my gratitude and appreciation to my co-directors and to the management and staff of Guardian Media Limited for their contributions to our success story. Thank you for your attention.
And now to say more on the future vision of Guardian Media, here is the Managing Director of GML, Mr. Gabriel Faria.
This event signals a change of our name from Trinidad Publishing Company Limited to Guardian Media and introduces our iconography. Our logo is firmly anchored by the strongest brand in media in Trinidad and Tobago, which has been in existence for 93 years. The new logo embraces the digital age that we are operating and clearly signals our multimedia strength, which we will leverage to the benefit of you, our customers, and to the 700,000 connections we make with consumers every single day. Most of my 30 years in business was sitting where you are right now. The question I always asked was, how is this going to help me connect with my consumers? Guardian Media Limited, through our multimedia network, of radio, TV, print, and new media will maximize your reach. Not only by selling advertisements, we have to do that also, but by partnering with you and your agencies to help you develop multi-dimensional campaigns across multiple medias to allow you to connect with your customers better than anyone else in this industry. This is much more than a change in name. This is a fundamental shift in how we will do business going forward. We clearly understand our role in connecting you to your consumers and the three stakeholders that we must satisfy every single day to succeed. People say the media universe is dynamic. Now that's an understatement. The environment is changing at the speed of light. And you have an option to embrace. We are not going to embrace it. We are going to go to the leading edge of technology where we create the landscape for the future. Not by following the road that exists, but by creating paths where others will follow us. Where we will become the role makers, not the role takers. How are we going to lead this change? One, technology. We have invested and will continue to invest in technology to keep us on the leading edge. Two, human capital. We are leveraging the human assets we have throughout our organization, 400 strong, in ensuring that we have a single-minded focus, a congruence of goals and sharpness and focus on you and our consumers. Three, consumer insights. We are focused on understanding and satisfying our consumer needs better than anyone else. Four, content. The combination of technology, people, and a clear understanding of our consumers' needs gives us the edge in acquiring, creating, and distributing the most relevant content across our multimedia network. There is no media group who can do this better than we can. We offer the most comprehensive platform to broad and narrowcast your message to the widest consumers by touching multiple niches and diverse demographics through our unmatched multimedia capability from our start in 1917 with a single broadsheet. Today, Guardian Media is quite possibly the largest cross-platform interactive multimedia company in Trinidad and Tobago. Join me as I take you on a quick journey to reinforce some of the key points you have seen earlier today. Let's start with the Trinidad Guardian. Our mascot signature is that of the proverbial guardian angel, holding a pen and a sword. It is a symbol which captures the essence of our role as the guardian of democracy. While the newspaper industry in the US and some other markets are going through challenges, statistics actually show that in Latin America and the Caribbean, the market is buoyant and newsprint sales are actually up. I think this depends on the behavioral patterns and also the development of the market. We have continued to grow our reach. We've invested over $70 million with the acquisition of the most advanced printing technology in the region. This gives us the capability to provide the highest speed production within the shortest production cycle. Market research also confirms that the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian is the most trusted paper for key decision makers and opinion leaders in our Twin Island state. We dominate this segment and continue to grow our share by effective consumer targeting and offering our readers superior content with a cadre of highly trained, award-winning journalists and continuous training. Our layout and design is by far the best in the market. The Business Guardian. It is the benchmark for business magazines in the region, but standing still is not an option. We are the best publication in the Caribbean to connect to the business person and those who aspire to be. Our Special Publications Unit creates a number of focus magazines with robust content, which are not only distributed through our paper, Guardian printing services. Our investment in printing technology actually gave us an additional opportunity that we can offer to you with speeds of almost 4 million pages per hour. It is probably the fastest in the region, and it gives us the capacity to provide superior quality printing on a variety of paper stock, everything from newsprint to super white 62-gram paper. This allows us to save you significant money. New media. This morning we had a talk show, and it's interesting what's happening to the world. It's today's business buzz, and Guardian Media is on the leading edge of converging our traditional media with new media, connecting to consumers on their terms and to suit their lifestyle. During the past 5 weeks, 1.1 million people, that's straight off the stats, visited our site, viewing 4 million pages from over 225 regions throughout the world. We've introduced the most advanced and comprehensive online classifieds with mapping structure specifically set up for Trinidad and Tobago. Our customers can upload their photos or videos of cars, homes, anything you want to sell. The advertising opportunities here are limitless. Geo-targeting is another facility which allows you as advertisers to choose the message you want your consumer to see depending on what part of the world they're in. TBC, the nation's #1 radio network. Over 200,000 listeners guaranteed. We have the largest share of the drive time radio market. In fact, it's as much as 50% higher than our closest competitor. We've also developed unique properties during different day parts to target specific consumers that you want to target. 5 major audience demographics with the purchasing power to buy your product. The most popular morning and evening drive times, the hottest and most relevant music, the most popular DJs. Each of our stations targets a unique consumer demographic, and our programs are developed to further drill down and target that consumer that you want. CNC3. What started 5 years ago with an investment in state-of-the-art technology for a cable news channel with 40% penetration now reaches 98% of the population. Through an investment of almost $50 million in state-of-the-art technology, our free-to-air project included a 370-foot tower in central Trinidad, which makes our signal strength superior. Our early morning show attracts a wide audience of people who want to keep up to date with the latest current affairs, and also to participate through our interactive model. The CNC3 News is the choice of over 270,000 viewers because of its unmatched news and current affairs coverage. Strong human interest stories, the best weather coverage, the #1 sports. These ensure that we continue to grow our audience share faster than our competitors. Our reporters, journalists, and presenters are some of the best and most respected in the industry. We also continue to develop our programming by the acquisition of the best local and international shows, with many of our programs being either first or second in their respective time slots, ensuring you the largest audiences. The Trinidad and Tobago Guardian, the Guardian Media Web Portal, the TBC 5-station radio network, CNC3 television. This is Guardian Media Limited. We are continuously looking for new avenues to help you solve your communication needs. I hope it's the start of a revitalized relationship where we work together to build a mutually profitable partnership. Developing solutions to give you the edge we are all looking for in this rapidly changing battlefield. Thank you.
At this time, we welcome on stage the Honourable Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Kamla Persad-Bissessor, with this morning's feature address, and we very warmly welcome her to speak with us.
As I stand here this morning, I want to thank you for inviting me to this very historic launch of our country's oldest news media, the Guardian newspaper. And you also have the honor of being the second oldest newspaper in the country, in the Caribbean, So you take a bow for oldest, longest in Trinidad and Tobago, and the second. And what does that mean? It means that you have been playing such a very important part in our nation's history and in our region's history. And the words come to my mind of a 17th century Chicago journalist and politician, Joseph Medill. In a report in the Chicago Tribune in May 1869, based on an address he once delivered to editors, publishers, and reporters in his field, he said to them then, and I quote, "Preserve your independence of all demagogues and place hunters, and never submit to their dictation. Write boldly and tell the truth fearlessly. Criticize whatever is wrong and denounce whatever is bad in the administration of your local and state affairs, no matter how much it may offend the guilty." He continues, "But most of all, make an earnest and conscientious publication. Establish its reputation for truth and reliability. Never willfully deceive the people or trifle with their confidence. Show that your publication is devoted to the advocacy and promotion of their temporal interests and moral welfare." End of quote. I'm reminded of these words made centuries ago in the then fledgling democracy that was the United States, because even today they ring true of the roles, responsibilities, and rights of a free, expanded media in a democracy like ours, but more so in the new global environment of technological advance currently being experienced right now. And more than ever, these words ring true when one considers that the role of the media in a developing society as ours cannot be considered without some examination of the principle of freedom of the press. No doubt we are all aware that so much has been written and said on this subject, but I thought it would be important to frame my conversation this morning before such a distinguished gathering, including so many journalists, media practitioners, and gurus. As Prime Minister, I'm curious sometimes as to where press freedom is defined by journalists and how they hold, justifiably so, governments responsible for ensuring the right to free expression is protected. Governments around the world have argued that the media has a responsibility for ensuring the information disseminated does not have a destabilizing or otherwise huge negative impact on the societies in which they operate. I would like to share with you an example. Granted, it's an extreme one, but it helps to establish the principle of press freedom or responsible media. Some of you might be familiar with a radio station called Radio Television Libre Mille Collins. It became infamous around the world for the role it played in promoting genocide in Rwanda. In 1994, that radio station openly advocated violence against Tutsis, moderate Hutus, and the United Nations missions located there. It has become a frightening example of how destructively powerful the media can be in the wrong hands. One can argue that under those circumstances, the radio station should have been regulated or shut down for creating such instability and promoting violence. But the question arises, who is to determine the legitimacy of such regulation? I've heard similar arguments against some Mid-Eastern media that are as equally strong as those in the Western media. The bias works both ways, and some of the strident remarks in the media in delicate situations and trouble spots hold the sway of public opinion, or one way or the other, with sometimes very dangerous results. A poll on media freedom conducted 2 years ago by World Public Opinion, which is a collaborative research project involving research centers around the world, and they produced some very thought-provoking results. In being presented a choice between an argument in favor of media freedom without government control and the argument that government should have the right to prevent the media from publishing things it thinks will be politically destabilizing, most of the people around the world, and not surprising really, most of the people around the world expressed the view that the risk of political instability does not justify government control. Yet, there were interesting perspectives shared by members of the public in countries where traditionally the media has been controlled by the government. They actually agreed that such control is necessary. In a country that recently struggled with an attempted coup, this delicacy of balance must have been clearly in his mind. But I'm sure he would have been severely criticized in some quarters for those remarks, as he predicted he would be. And so I'm reminded of the famous quotation of Thomas Jefferson when he said, "Were it left to me to decide whether we should have a government without newspapers or newspapers without a government, I should not hesitate a moment to choose the latter, namely, newspapers without a government." The point Jefferson was clearly making is that press freedom wasn't there just to protect the rights of journalists or the media, but was there to protect the right of the people to have access to information which would help them make informed decisions about governments and policies and issues. No one wants a media that becomes the mouthpiece of a government. But how free is the press, we must ask? How free is the media, even without government interference? Who controls the media? We can look back just after the draconian era of McCarthyism in the US. The editor-in-chief of the New York Times offered an assessment of press freedom, which may not apply today, but again it was a stunning admission from someone as esteemed as he was at the time. This is what the editor-in-chief of the New York Times said at that time, 50 years ago. Quote, "There is no such thing as an independent press in America at this date of the world's history. You know it, and I know it. There is not one of you dares to write your honest opinions, and if you did, you know beforehand that it would never appear in print. I am paid weekly for keeping my honest opinion out of the paper I'm connected with. Others of you are paid similar salaries for similar things, and any of you who would be so foolish as to write honest opinions would be out in the streets looking for another job. If I allowed my honest opinions to appear in one issue of my paper, before 24 hours, my occupation would be gone." End of quote. Now, I do not offer this as a condemnation of the way the media exists today at all, anyway. I make the reference only to illustrate the point that the media itself can only be free if it exists in a society that fervently demands that it be so. We are very fortunate in Trinidad and Tobago to have a media that, in my respectful opinion, remains fiercely independent. And I dare say that our media is among the freest in the world. And each of us, no less myself as Prime Minister and my government, must ensure that it remains that way. Having talked to you a bit on the concept of the independent media and what we see as freedom of the press, let me state my own government's views on this matter. Our media has faithfully and diligently exercised its duty to the people of Trinidad and Tobago without fear or favor. It has kept democracy alive in our nation, and we owe a huge debt of gratitude to faithful, fearless media practitioners. My government and I have been held up for careful scrutiny by the media on so many issues, including independence of the media. But the reality is that the media too has a sacred role in this evolving world of business and mass comm, and it is no longer only the duty of a government to ensure that its privileged freedom is protected. The media has a crucial role to play in contributing to what we become as a society. And so I laud the Guardian network in developing a series on environment, for example. This was a noble and responsible initiative with a positive impact. I'm sure in educating the public on such a burning national issue as environment, that certainly is a laudable initiative. In a society such as ours, plagued by so many issues, domestic violence, youth gangs, crime, child abuse, drugs, and so many problems, respectfully I say, the media can play a critical role in helping us to address these concerns. And so, I seek a partnership with you in this regard. As a developing country, we are in a state of transition. We are a nation in need of ideas, of inspiration, of fundamental changes, shifts of consciousness, enlightenment, and hope. Never has our transformation been more important and crucial than now, but it will not occur without the help of the media. Because you help to fashion the way people think and behave. You prompt and nudge their thinking. You help to create the society we happen to be. And so I ask you to please embrace the opportunity to educate and inform the public, cognizant of the urgent needs of our society and particularly our young people. Any young impressionable mind can be positively molded and persuaded to become someone he or she never thought possible before. I know that there are economic realities and that your role cannot be simply to create a product that seeks to create positive influences in our society, but one that is marketable and financially viable, yet one can be achieved without compromising the other. It could be a positive 10-second soundbite, when repeated often enough becomes someone's personal philosophy or outlook. It may be a riveting moving documentary on drug addiction. It may be a series of well-written essays on how someone turned adversity into opportunity. As an example, the program which is run in the United Kingdom saw one of the winners being a North London teenager. She did a very moving DVD production based on a response to seeing her friend stabbed to death. The teenager said she was frustrated by the intense media coverage and violence among young people, and she decided to do something about it. And so she created this award-winning DVD from her own experiences as a young person. In the program I'm suggesting, our Ministry of Education will be integral in the development of this program to ensure that we can integrate it into the school environment. In closing, today, I thank you again for allowing me this opportunity to speak with you. And may I congratulate you, all of you, for what will henceforth be known as the Guardian Media Limited, in acknowledgement of the broader involvement the group now has with its radio, television, and press components, and of course your multimedia on the net, on the World Wide Web. The name Guardian, as I said at the beginning of my address, has been a landmark media institution. I say again to you, congratulations on this historic launch as you take another step on your very successful journey. Thank you for extending this invitation to me. I am honored, sirs, to be here, ladies and gentlemen, sharing in your achievement. May God continue to bless you all.
Guardian Media Limited, empowering and connecting over 700,000 consumers every day.